Captain Kim Taiho stood on the bridge of the orbital station New Busan, watching the enemy fleet approach Earth. The alien ships were massive, each one the size of a city. They moved through space like dark clouds blocking out the stars. He had never seen anything so terrifying in his 15 years of military service. "Sir, incoming transmission from the lead ship," said Lieutenant Park Soman from her communication station. Her voice was steady, but Taiho could see her hands shaking as she worked the controls. "Put it through," Taiho ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing a creature that made his stomach turn. The alien had gray skin stretched tight over a skull too large for its body. Its eyes were black holes that seemed to look right through him. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "Humans of Earth," the alien began. "I am Admiral Vex of the Galactic Hegemony. Your species has been chosen for relocation to serve the greater good of civilized space. You will surrender all military assets and prepare your populations for transport to designated work colonies." Taiho felt his blood run cold. He had heard stories from other worlds. The aliens called it relocation, but refugees who escaped from other systems called it something else: slavery, slow death in the minds of distant worlds. "You have 72 hours to comply," Admiral Vex continued. "If you refuse, we will implement cleansing protocols." "This is not a negotiation. This is a statement of fact." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in deadly silence. Taiho looked around at his crew. Some were young, barely out of the academy. Others were veterans who had served in the border conflicts. All of them looked scared. "Lieutenant Park, open a channel to Earth Command," Taiho said quietly. "Channel open, sir. This is New Busan Station to Earth Command. We have received the alien ultimatum, requesting immediate orders." The response came quickly. President Lee Dongwu appeared on screen, broadcasting from the Global Defense Council headquarters in Geneva. The man looked older than his 60 years, with gray hair and lines around his eyes that spoke of many sleepless nights. "People of Earth," President Lee began, "we have heard the demands of these invaders. They ask us to give up our freedom, our children, our future. They promise us work in their mines and factories. They promise us life as slaves on worlds far from home." Taiho watched as his crew listened to every word. In the background, he could see government officials and military commanders. They all wore the same expression of grim determination. "I have consulted with every nation on Earth," President Lee continued. "We are united in our response. We reject their ultimatum. We will not surrender our world or our people. If they want Earth, they will have to take it from us." The transmission ended. For a moment, nobody on the bridge spoke. Then the alarms began to sound. "Sir, the alien fleet is moving," reported Lieutenant Shin Woo-jin from the tactical station. "They are taking position over major population centers." Taiho moved to the observation deck and looked down at Earth. The blue marble that had been his home looked so peaceful from this distance. But he knew that was about to change. "All stations battle alert," he ordered. "Prepare for combat operations." The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as his crew prepared for war. Taiho knew their chances were slim. The orbital stations were armed, but they were nothing compared to the massive alien fleet. Earth's surface defenses were modern and well-trained, but they had never faced an enemy like this. "Sir, detecting energy buildup on the alien vessels," Lieutenant Shin called out. "They are charging weapons." "All civilian stations begin immediate evacuation," Taiho ordered. "All military personnel prepare for engagement." The first blast lit up space like a new sun. A beam of pure energy lanced down from one of the alien ships and struck Seoul. Even from orbit, Taiho could see the explosion. The city where he had been born, where his parents still lived, disappeared in a flash of light. "No," whispered Lieutenant Park. Tears ran down her face as she stared at the screen. More beams followed. Tokyo went next, then New York, then London. Each blast was precise, targeted at the heart of major cities. The aliens were not trying to conquer Earth. They were trying to break humanity's will to fight. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Seoul Defense Command," Lieutenant Park said, her voice barely audible. "There is no Seoul Defense Command," Taiho said quietly. "Seoul is gone. The signal is coming from underground, sir." "Deep underground," Taiho frowned. He authorized the transmission, and a new face appeared on screen. Colonel Choi Min-soo, a man Taiho had never seen before, wearing a uniform he did not recognize. "All surface commanders, this is Deep Earth Command." Begin immediate withdrawal to secondary positions. Repeat, begin immediate withdrawal to secondary positions. Deep Earth Command, Tahoe said. I have never heard of any Deep Earth Command. Colonel Choi looked directly at him through the screen. Captain Kim, your orders are to evacuate all personnel from surface stations and report to coordinates that will be transmitted to you shortly. Do not question these orders. Lives depend on your compliance, and sir, I do not understand. What secondary positions? Captain, for the past 5 years we have been preparing for this day. Earth's real defenses are not on the surface. They are not in orbit. They are deep underground where the aliens cannot reach them. We always knew this day would come. Tahoe felt a chill run down his spine. You knew they were coming? We have been watching them destroy other worlds for decades. We knew Earth would be next. But we also knew something they did not. Humans do not give up easily. And we learn from our enemies. Another blast struck the Earth below. This time it hit Mumbai. The city vanished in fire and smoke. Captain, you have your orders. Get your people to safety. The real war is about to begin. The transmission ended, leaving Tahoe staring at a blank screen. Around him, his crew looked confused and frightened. Below them, Earth burned under alien weapons. But somewhere deep underground, humans were preparing to fight back. Lieutenant Park, signal all stations. Begin evacuation procedures, Tahoe ordered. We are going underground. As New Busan Station powered down its systems and prepared to abandon orbit, Tahoe took one last look at Earth. The planet looked different now. Fires burned where great cities had stood. Smoke clouds covered vast areas of land. But somewhere down there, in the deep places the aliens could not see, humanity was planning its response. The real war had not even started yet. 3 days after Seoul burned, Colonel Choi Min-soo walked through corridors that did not exist on any official map. The underground facility stretched for miles beneath the Korean peninsula, carved from solid rock over 5 years of secret construction. Electric lights lined the walls, casting long shadows as hundreds of people moved through the tunnels with quiet purpose. Status report, Min-soo said to his aide, Major Kim Hyun-woo, as they descended deeper into the complex. All surface personnel have been evacuated to Level 7 facilities. Dr. Yoon Ji-won is ready to begin the awakening process. We have confirmation that similar facilities in Japan, Australia, and North America are operational. Min-soo nodded. Above them, alien ground forces were landing in the ruins of Korean cities. They expected to find broken survivors hiding in basements and subway tunnels. Instead, they would find empty buildings and silence. The real population of Korea was now 300 feet underground. They entered a massive chamber that stretched beyond sight. Thousands of beds were arranged in perfect rows, each one occupied by a sleeping human. Machines hummed quietly, monitoring vital signs and maintaining life support. These people had been sleeping for 6 months, their bodies changing in ways that would have been impossible while awake. Dr. Yoon Ji-won looked up from a control panel as they approached. She was a small woman with tired eyes, but her voice carried absolute authority. Colonel, we are ready to begin the final phase. The genetic modifications have taken hold. The cybernetic implants are fully integrated. The psychological conditioning is complete. How many? Min-soo asked. 50,000 in this facility alone. 200,000 across all sites. The first generation of enhanced humans is ready. Min-soo looked out over the sea of sleeping forms. Each person had volunteered for the program, knowing they might not survive the process. But those who did survive would be something more than human. Something designed specifically for the war they now faced. Begin the awakening, he ordered. Dr. Yoon pressed a series of buttons on her control panel. Throughout the chamber, machines began to change their rhythm. The sleeping people started to stir as chemicals flowed through their modified bloodstreams, bringing them back to consciousness. The first to wake was Sergeant Nam Hyori, a former Special Forces soldier. Her eyes opened and Min-soo could see immediately that something was different. Her pupils dilated and contracted rapidly as they adjusted to the light. When she sat up, her movements were too fast, too smooth. She looked around the chamber with eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. How do you feel? Dr. Yoon asked. Nam Hyori stood up slowly, testing her balance. Different, she said. Her voice was the same, but there was something new in her tone. Something cold and focused. I can see everything. Hear everything. The alien ships in orbit. I can hear their engines. The auditory enhancements are working perfectly. Dr. Yoon explained to Minsu. She can hear frequencies far beyond normal human range. Her vision can adapt to complete darkness. Her muscles are 3 times stronger than before, and her reaction time is 50% faster. More people were waking now. Men and women who had once been teachers, engineers, soldiers, and doctors. They looked human, but Minsu knew appearances were deceiving. Their bones were now reinforced with alien metals salvaged from crashed scout ships. Their nervous systems had been rewired with biocomputers that could process information at incredible speeds. Their blood carried nanomachines that could repair damage and fight infection. Captain Kim Tae-ho walked down the ramp from the orbital elevator, his face grim. The evacuation from space had been successful, but he had watched his homeworld burn from above. Now he found himself in a place that seemed impossible. "Captain," Minsu called. "Welcome to Deep Earth Command. Sir, I need to understand what is happening here. My crew is asking questions I cannot answer." Minsu led him to an observation deck that looked out over the awakening chamber. 5 years ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected the alien fleet destroying the Centauri colonies. We knew they would come to Earth eventually, so we began to prepare. By building underground cities, by building more than that. We built the infrastructure for a new kind of warfare. The aliens are stronger than us. Their technology is more advanced. Their ships are faster, but they have one weakness, which is they have never fought humans before. They do not know what we are capable of when we are pushed to our limits. Dr. Yoon joined them on the observation deck. "Captain, what you see below are not the same people who went to sleep 6 months ago. They are enhanced, modified, designed specifically to fight our enemies." "Modified how?" "Enhanced strength, speed, and reflexes. Improved senses that can track enemies in complete darkness. Computer-assisted thinking that can process tactical information faster than any alien mind. And most importantly, the ability to survive injuries that would kill a normal human." Below them, the newly awakened enhanced humans were receiving their assignments. They moved with a fluid grace that was unsettling to watch. When they spoke to each other, their conversations were brief and efficient, as if they were sharing information through some invisible network. Nam Hyori approached the observation deck. When she looked up at them, her eyes reflected the light like an animal's. "Colonel, request permission to begin surface reconnaissance." "Granted, Sergeant. Take Squad Alpha, find the alien ground forces, learn their patterns. Do not engage unless necessary." "Understood, sir." She turned and walked away, her squad falling in behind her without a word being spoken. "They are different," Tae-ho said quietly. "They had to be," Minsu replied. "The aliens came here expecting to fight humans. Instead, they will face something they have never seen before, something that can hunt them in the dark places of our world." On the main display screen, satellite images showed alien troops setting up bases in the ruins of major cities. They moved in formation, secure in their superiority. Their technology was impressive, their weapons devastating, but they were surface dwellers, comfortable in open spaces and bright light. "The aliens made one critical mistake," Dr. Yoon said as she watched the enemy forces. "They assumed we would fight them on their terms. Instead, we will fight them on ours." Deep in the tunnels beneath Seoul, Nam Hyori led her squad toward the surface. They moved in single file, their enhanced senses guiding them through passages too dark for normal human eyes. Each soldier carried weapons designed for close-quarters combat in confined spaces. They were trained to strike fast and disappear before the enemy could respond. "Remember," Nam Hyori said to her squad as they reached the access tunnel to the surface, "we are not human anymore. We are something new, something they have never faced. Let us show them what Earth's children have become." Above them, alien soldiers patrolled empty streets, unaware that death was rising from the depths below. 6 months after the first alien ships arrived, General Krek stood in what used to be downtown Seoul, staring at his casualty reports. His forces controlled every major city on Earth, but something was very wrong. In the past week alone, 3 patrol units had simply vanished. Supply convoys were found empty, their crews gone without a trace. Outposts went silent in the night. "Sir," his aide Captain Threk said nervously, "the troops are starting to talk. They say the humans are ghosts, that they can walk through walls and disappear into shadows." "Nonsense," Krek snapped. "Humans are primitive. Their cities are destroyed. Their military is scattered. These are just desperate survivors hiding in ruins." But even as he said it, Krex felt unease creeping into his mind. The humans they had studied were supposed to be weak, disorganized, easily broken by a show of force. These attacks were different. They were planned, coordinated, surgical in their precision. 3 miles away in the ruins of a shopping mall, Major Park Ji-hoon crouched in absolute darkness with his hunting squad. His enhanced eyes could see every detail of the alien patrol moving through the rubble below. 4 soldiers, armed with energy weapons, moving in standard formation. They had no idea they were being watched. Behind Ji-hoon, sniper Kang Yuna adjusted her modified rifle. The weapon was a hybrid of human engineering and captured alien technology, silent and deadly. To her left, demolitions expert Oh Sung-ho checked his explosive charges, each one designed to bring down specific sections of the building. "Target the leader first," Ji-hoon whispered into his throat microphone. His enhanced vocal cords could produce sounds below normal human hearing, allowing his squad to communicate without the aliens detecting them. "Understood," Yuna replied in the same subsonic whisper. The alien patrol entered the kill zone. Yuna's rifle made no sound as it fired. The patrol leader dropped instantly, a smoking hole where his head had been. Before the other aliens could react, Ji-hoon and his team were moving. The enhanced humans flowed through the rubble like water, their modified muscles allowing them to leap gaps that would stop normal people. They struck the remaining aliens from 3 directions at once, using knives and close combat weapons that made no noise. Within 30 seconds, all 4 aliens were dead. But Ji-hoon's squad was not finished. They quickly stripped the bodies of weapons, armor, and communication devices. Everything would be studied, reverse-engineered, improved upon. "Another successful hunt," Oh Sung-ho said as they prepared to vanish back into the ruins. "This is just the beginning," Ji-hoon replied. "Dr. Yoon wants live specimens next time. We need to learn how they think." Back at Deep Earth Command, Colonel Choi Min-soo studied reports from hunting squads across the globe. The pattern was the same everywhere. Enhanced humans emerging from underground tunnels, striking alien forces, then disappearing before reinforcements could arrive. But more importantly, they were learning. Dr. Yoon Ji-won approached with a data pad full of new information. "Colonel, our analysis of captured alien equipment has yielded significant results. Their weapons operate on quantum energy principles, their armor uses adaptive molecular structures, and their communication systems have a critical weakness." "Explain." "They use a shared network protocol. If we can access one device, we can potentially access their entire communication grid. We could listen to their orders, track their movements, even feed them false information." Min-soo smiled grimly. This was why the enhancement program had been necessary. Normal humans could never have adapted this quickly to alien technology, but the enhanced soldiers had computer-assisted minds that could process and understand complex systems in days rather than years. "Begin implementation immediately," he ordered. Meanwhile, in the ruins of Busan, Sergeant Nam Hyori led her squad through a network of subway tunnels. They had been tracking an alien supply convoy for 3 days, learning its route and schedule. Tonight they would strike. The convoy consisted of 6 vehicles carrying food, ammunition, and replacement parts for alien equipment. It was heavily guarded, with 12 soldiers providing escort. Under normal circumstances, attacking such a force would be suicide for 6 humans. But Nam Hyori and her squad were not normal humans anymore. They emerged from manholes along the convoy route. Moving with inhuman speed and silence, Nam Hyori's enhanced strength allowed her to leap onto the lead vehicle and tear through its armored roof with her bare hands. The alien driver barely had time to scream before her claws found his throat. Behind her, the rest of her squad disabled the other vehicles with similar efficiency. The escort soldiers tried to respond, but they were fighting an enemy they could not understand. The enhanced humans moved too fast, struck too hard, vanished too quickly. When reinforcements arrived 10 minutes later, they found 6 empty vehicles and 12 missing soldiers. The cargo was gone. But more disturbing, the vehicles had been carefully dismantled. Engine components, electronic systems, even structural materials had been removed with surgical precision. The aliens were beginning to realize they were not fighting desperate survivors. They were fighting something that learned from every encounter, something that grew stronger with each victory. Admiral Vex received the reports in his command ship orbiting Earth. The casualty numbers were small compared to his total force. But the implications were terrifying. The humans were not just surviving, they were adapting. "Sir," his intelligence officer reported, "we have detected unauthorized access attempts on our communication networks. Someone is trying to hack our systems." "Impossible. Human technology is centuries behind ours." "Nevertheless, sir, the attempts are becoming more sophisticated. They are learning our protocols." Beck stared down at the planet below. From orbit, Earth looked conquered. The major cities were ruins. The military installations were destroyed. But somewhere in the depths of that world, something was growing stronger in the darkness. "Prepare the bioweapons," he ordered. "If conventional force will not work, we will use other methods." But in the deep places beneath Earth's surface, enhanced humans like Namhayori were already preparing for the next phase of the war. They had tasted alien blood, captured alien technology, and learned alien weaknesses. The hunt was just beginning. 2 years had passed since the first alien ships arrived at Earth. Admiral Vex stood in his command chamber, staring at reports that made no sense. His forces still controlled Earth's surface, but the casualty reports told a different story. What had started as isolated attacks by desperate survivors had become something else entirely. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we have lost contact with Outpost 7 in what used to be Tokyo. That makes 12 facilities this month." Vex crushed the data pad in his clawed hands. "How is this possible? These are primitive humans hiding in ruins." "Sir, intelligence suggests otherwise. The attacks show coordination across continents. The weapons used are sophisticated combinations of their technology and ours. And sir, the survivors from Base 4 reported seeing humans who moved like machines and seemed immune to our standard weapons." Deep beneath the ruins of Seoul, General Im Woo-jin walked through command centers that had grown far beyond their original design. The man who had once been a simple logistics officer now commanded a military force that spanned the globe. His transformation was not just physical like the enhanced soldiers. His mind had been augmented with quantum processors that allowed him to coordinate operations across multiple continents simultaneously. "Status report," he said to Commander Shin Minji, his intelligence chief. "Sir, Operation GhostNet is complete. We have successfully infiltrated their communication systems. We can now monitor all alien transmissions and inject false data when needed. Additionally, our technology integration program has exceeded expectations." She led him to a massive display showing Earth from space. Red dots marked alien positions while green dots showed human forces. But what caught Im Woo-jin's attention were the blue dots scattered throughout the solar system. "Are those what I think they are?" "Yes, sir." "Captured alien vessels under human control. Captain Kim Taeho's mission was successful. We now have 17 functioning alien ships with hybrid crews." Im Woo-jin smiled. 2 years ago, Kim Taeho had been a simple space station commander watching his world burn. Now he was leading assault missions against alien capital ships using their own technology against them. And the new generation of enhanced soldiers? "Ready for deployment, sir. Dr. Yoon's improvements to the enhancement process have produced remarkable results. The second generation can survive in vacuum without suits, regenerate from injuries that would kill the first generation, and interface directly with alien computer systems." 3,000 miles away, Captain Kim Taeho floated in the command center of the captured alien dreadnought now called New Seoul. His body had been modified beyond recognition over the past year. Cybernetic implants allowed him to interface directly with the ship's systems. His enhanced nervous system could process the massive amounts of data required to command such a vessel. "Sir, we have the enemy convoy in range," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Park Soman. She had volunteered for enhancement 6 months ago, and now her mind could calculate firing solutions faster than the ship's original computers. "Begin the attack," Taeho ordered. The battle was swift and decisive. The alien convoy, expecting to encounter desperate human resistance, instead faced a coordinated assault by ships they thought were still under their control. The New Seoul and its escort vessels moved with precision that impressed even their original alien designers. "Enemy vessels disabled, sir. Boarding parties are securing the ships now." Taeho watched his enhanced soldiers move through the captured vessels like predators. They no longer looked entirely human. Years of modification had given them elongated limbs for zero-gravity combat, additional eyes for enhanced spatial awareness, and retractable claws for close combat. But it was their minds that made them truly dangerous. Each soldier carried quantum processors that allowed them to learn alien languages instantly, hack alien computer systems by touch, and coordinate attacks across vast distances without traditional communication. Back on Earth, the aliens were beginning to understand the true scope of their problem. General Krek stood in his fortified command post, watching security footage that chilled him to his core. The recording showed one of his patrols being attacked by creatures that had once been human. But these beings moved with inhuman speed, struck with impossible strength, and seemed to anticipate his soldiers' actions before they made them. "Play it again," he ordered. The footage repeated. 6 alien soldiers, armed with energy weapons and protected by advanced armor, were systematically destroyed by 3 human attackers. But the humans used no weapons Krex recognized. They moved like liquid shadow, struck like lightning, and vanished like smoke. "Sir," his aide said nervously, "the bioweapons had no effect. If anything, the humans seem to have adapted to them. Our latest intelligence suggests they are using our own biological agents to enhance themselves further." Krex felt something he had never experienced in his long military career. Fear, not just of defeat, but of the enemy itself. The humans were not just fighting back. They were evolving, becoming something that defied his understanding of what sentient life could become. "Sir, incoming message from Admiral Vex. He is requesting a full status report on surface operations." Krex knew what he had to report, but the words seemed impossible to say aloud. His forces were not losing to a superior enemy. They were being systematically hunted by creatures that learned from every encounter, adapted to every weapon, and grew stronger with each victory. "Tell the Admiral that the situation has changed," he said finally. "We are no longer fighting humans. We are fighting something else, something they have become." In the depths of the Korean underground complex, Dr. Yoon Ji-won made final adjustments to her latest creation. The 3rd generation of enhanced humans lay in stasis pods, their transformation nearly complete. These beings would be capable of surviving on alien worlds, breathing alien atmospheres, and thinking in ways that would allow them to understand enemy psychology better than the enemies understood themselves. "Doctor," her assistant said, "General Im Woo-jin requests an update on the project. Tell him the future soldiers of Earth will be ready within the week. And tell him something else. We have learned enough from captured alien specimens to begin the next phase." "Which is?" Dr. Yoon looked out at her latest creations, beings that would have been unrecognizable as human just 3 years ago. "We stop hiding in the depths of Earth. We take the war to them." Above ground, alien forces continued to patrol the ruins of human cities, unaware that beneath their feet a new form of life was preparing to emerge. The creatures that had once been human were ready to show their creators just how far evolution could be pushed when survival was at stake. The learning curve was complete. The real war was about to begin. 5 years after the first alien invasion, the war had changed completely. Admiral Song Kyung-ho commanded the Terran Liberation Front from the bridge of his flagship, the enhanced dreadnought New Seoul. What had started as desperate resistance in underground tunnels was now a coordinated campaign across the solar system. "Sir, long-range sensors detect 3 alien cruisers attempting to flee toward the outer system," reported his tactical officer, Commander Lee Gina. Her body had been so extensively modified that she appeared more machine than human, with multiple arms for controlling complex systems and eyes that could see across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. "They will not escape," Song Kyung-ho said calmly. His own modifications allowed him to process tactical data at superhuman speeds. "Deploy Hunter Squadrons Alpha through Delta. No survivors." The fleeing alien ships had once been part of a proud fleet that conquered worlds across the galaxy. Now they ran in terror from creatures they had helped create. Their crews whispered stories of humans who could survive in the vacuum of space, who could regenerate from wounds that should have been fatal, and who seemed to appear from nowhere to drag alien crews into darkness. Captain Kim Tae-ho led Hunter Squadron Alpha in pursuit of the fleeing cruiser Dominator. His ship, a hybrid creation of human ingenuity and captured alien technology, moved through space like a living predator. The crew that served with him were no longer recognizable as the humans who had once defended Earth's orbital stations. "Target acquired," reported his weapons officer, Sergeant Nam Hayori. She had evolved far beyond her original enhancement. Her body now adapted specifically for void combat. Her consciousness could interface directly with the ship's weapon systems, making her reaction time faster than any computer. "Begin the hunt," Taiho ordered. The alien cruiser fired its main weapons at the approaching human ships, but the enhanced crews anticipated every attack. They had studied alien tactics for years, learned to think like their enemies, and now understood their weaknesses better than the aliens understood themselves. The human ships moved in ways that defied the aliens' understanding of physics. They seemed to flow through space like liquid, avoiding weapons fire with impossible grace. When they struck back, their attacks were precise and devastating. "Hull breach on the enemy vessel," Nam Hayori reported. "They are venting atmosphere and crew." "Board them," Taiho commanded. Standard extraction protocol. The boarding pods launched from the human ships looked like organic growths rather than manufactured vessels. Inside, enhanced human soldiers waited in silence. These third-generation warriors could survive in hard vacuum, see in absolute darkness, and move through zero gravity as naturally as fish through water. Major Park Ji-hoon led the boarding assault. His body had been redesigned for void combat, with multiple limbs for movement in zero gravity and reinforced organs that could function without atmosphere. When his pod breached the alien hull, he moved through the ship like death itself. The alien crew tried to resist, but they were fighting an enemy that had evolved specifically to hunt them. The enhanced humans moved through the ship's corridors with inhuman speed, striking from shadows, appearing and disappearing like phantoms. "Ship secured," Ji-hoon reported to Taiho. "Crew eliminated. Technology recovered for analysis." But the most disturbing part was what happened next. Dr. Yoon Ji-won's latest modifications allowed the enhanced humans to absorb genetic material from their enemies. Each alien they killed made them stronger, smarter, more adapted to fighting their species. Back on Earth, the planet had become something unrecognizable. The surface cities lay in ruins, but beneath the ground a new civilization thrived. Colonel Choi Min-soo, now General of Underground Operations, walked through vast chambers where enhanced humans built weapons and ships that surpassed anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Sir," his aide reported, "the manufacturing complex has completed another batch of hybrid fighters. We now have enough ships to begin Phase 3 operations." "Excellent. And the crew requirements?" "The fourth-generation soldiers are ready for deployment. They can survive on any planet in the galaxy and adapt to any environment. Within hours of arrival." Choi Min-soo looked out over the manufacturing floor where creatures that had once been human assembled weapons of war. They worked with mechanical precision, their enhanced minds capable of understanding technologies that would have baffled the greatest scientists of the old world. The fourth generation of enhanced humans barely resembled their ancestors. They were taller, stronger, faster, and smarter than any natural human. Their bodies could adapt to different atmospheres. Their minds could interface with any technology, and their lifespans had been extended to centuries. But more importantly, they had retained the one quality that made humans dangerous: the ability to learn and adapt. In his command ship orbiting Jupiter, Admiral Vex received reports that filled him with dread. His once mighty fleet had been reduced to scattered survivors fleeing toward the edge of the solar system. The humans were not just fighting back anymore. They were hunting his people across space with cold, methodical efficiency. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we have received a transmission from the human fleet. They are demanding our complete surrender." "Put it through," Vex said, though every instinct told him not to. The screen filled with the image of Admiral Song Kyung-ho, but the creature looking back at Vex was no longer human in any recognizable sense. His eyes glowed with inner light. His skin had a metallic sheen, and when he spoke, his voice carried harmonics that suggested his vocal cords had been completely rebuilt. "Admiral Vex," Song Kyung-ho said, "you came to our world 5 years ago with the intention of enslaving our species. You burned our cities, murdered our children, and tried to break our spirit." Vex found himself unable to speak. The thing addressing him radiated a cold intelligence that chilled him to his core. "You succeeded in one thing," Song Kyung-ho continued. "You forced us to evolve. You made us into something we never would have become on our own. For that, we should thank you. What do you want?" Vex managed to ask. "Justice," Song Kyung-ho replied. "You will surrender your remaining ships and submit to judgment. Or we will take them from you piece by piece as we have done with the rest of your fleet." The transmission ended, leaving Vex staring at a blank screen. Around him, his bridge crew waited for orders, but he had none to give. How do you fight an enemy that grows stronger with every battle, that learns from every defeat, that becomes more dangerous with each passing day? Sir, his tactical officer said quietly, the human fleet is approaching. They will be in weapons range in 1 hour. Vex looked out at the approaching ships. They moved in formation, but it was unlike any military formation he had ever seen. They flowed through space like a school of predatory fish, beautiful and terrifying in their coordination. Send a message to all remaining ships, he said finally. Full retreat to the edge of the system. Maximum speed. But even as he gave the order, Vex knew it was useless. The creatures that had once been human were faster, smarter, and more determined than any enemy he had ever faced. They would not stop until every alien ship was captured or destroyed. The hunters had become the hunted, and there was nowhere left to run. 10 years after the first alien ships arrived at Earth, Fleet Admiral Bae Sunmi stood on the bridge of the Terran flagship Eternal Soul as a new alien fleet emerged from hyperspace near Jupiter. The galactic hegemony had finally sent a rescue mission to check on their successful invasion of Earth. Sir, detecting 47 enemy vessels entering the system, reported her tactical officer, Commander Yu Minho. His body had been so extensively modified that he existed as much in the ship's computer systems as in physical reality. They appear to be expecting to find their occupation forces intact. Admiral Bae smiled, though the expression on her transformed features would have terrified the humans who had died 10 years ago. Let us give them a proper welcome to our system. The rescue fleet was commanded by Fleet Admiral Corvex, a veteran of 100 conquests. He expected to find Earth stripped of resources, its population working in alien mines, and Admiral Vex ready to report another successful cleansing. Instead, his sensor showed something impossible. Sir, his science officer reported in a shaking voice, the system has been completely transformed. The moon appears to be covered in massive weapon installations. Mars shows signs of industrial activity beyond anything in our records. And sir, the asteroid belt appears to be moving in organized patterns. Moving? Asteroids do not move in patterns. Sir, I believe they have been converted into mobile weapons platforms. Each one shows massive energy signatures. Corvex stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The solar system that should have been a conquered territory looked like the most heavily fortified military installation in the galaxy. But worse than that, his sensors were detecting energy signatures he did not recognize, ships moving in formations that made no tactical sense, and life signs that registered as both human and something else entirely. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the third planet. Put it through. The screen flickered to life, showing a figure that made Corvex's blood freeze in his veins. The creature addressing him might have been human once, but it had evolved far beyond anything in his experience. General Im Woo-jin stood in what appeared to be a command center carved from living rock, surrounded by beings that defied classification. Greetings, Im Woo-jin said, his voice carrying harmonics that suggested his vocal system had been completely rebuilt. I am General Im Woo-jin of the Terran Defense Force. You are trespassing in human space. Human space? Corvex sputtered. This system was conquered by the hegemony 10 years ago. Where are our forces? Your forces made a critical error, Im Woo-jin replied calmly. They assumed we would fight as we were. Instead, we became what we needed to become. The display split to show scenes from across the solar system. Earth's moon bristled with weapon systems that combined alien technology with human innovation. Mars had become a massive shipyard where hybrid vessels were constructed by beings that moved with inhuman precision. The asteroid belt swarmed with mobile fortresses, each one capable of destroying a capital ship. You see, Im Woo-jin continued, your Admiral Vex taught us a valuable lesson. He showed us that the galaxy is ruled by those willing to commit genocide for the sake of expansion. So we decided to become very good students. Where are our forces? Corvex demanded. Dead, captured, studied, improved upon. Your people provided excellent genetic material for our enhancement programs. The transmission switched to show the interior of a hegemony ship, but the crew moving through its corridors were not aliens. They were creatures that had once been human, now modified with alien technology and enhanced beyond recognition. They moved with predatory grace, their eyes glowing with inner light. Their forms adapted for war among the stars. Meet the 5th generation of enhanced humans, Im Woo-jin said. They can survive on any world, breathe any atmosphere, and adapt to any environment. More importantly, they have learned to think like their enemies, They know your weaknesses better than you know them yourselves. Captain Kim Tae-ho appeared on screen next to Im Woo-jin, but the man who had once commanded an orbital station was now something that barely resembled his original form. His body had been rebuilt for void combat, his mind enhanced with quantum processors, his lifespan extended to centuries. Admiral Corvex, Tae-ho said, "Your species made us into this. You came to our world with the intention of destroying us. You burned our cities, killed our families, and tried to break our spirit. But you failed to understand something fundamental about humans, which is what? We adapt, we learn. We become exactly what we need to become to survive. And now we have become something that no longer needs to merely survive." The display changed again, showing the bridge of Admiral Vex's former flagship. The alien commander sat in a cell, his body connected to machines that slowly extracted his memories and knowledge. But Vex was still alive, kept conscious so that human scientists could study every aspect of his species' biology and psychology. "Your Admiral Vex is helping us understand your people very thoroughly," Im Woo-jin said. "Soon we will know everything about your species, your technology, your worlds, and then we will visit them." Corvex felt terror unlike anything he had experienced in his long military career. "You cannot be serious. You are talking about genocide, are we?" Im Woo-jin asked. "Or are we talking about justice? Your species has destroyed countless worlds, enslaved entire populations, committed genocide as a matter of policy. We are simply applying the lessons you taught us." The final display showed formations of hybrid ships moving through space with inhuman coordination. Each vessel was crewed by enhanced humans who could fight without rest, think without error, and adapt to any situation. They were no longer bound by the limitations of their original biology. "You wanted to see monsters," Im Woo-jin said, gesturing to the enhanced beings around him. "Here we stand. We are what you made us. We are what your actions forced us to become. And now we are coming for the rest of your kind." "This is madness," Corvex whispered. "This is evolution," Im Woo-jin corrected. "Your people believed that might made right, that the strong could destroy the weak without consequence. So we became stronger than you ever imagined possible." The enhanced humans around Im Woo-jin began to move, their forms flowing like living weapons. They no longer walked or ran like their ancestors. They moved like predators born in the depths of space, adapted for hunting among the stars. "You have one choice," Im Woo-jin said finally. "Surrender your ships and submit to the same fate you intended for us, or fight us and discover just how far human evolution can go when survival is at stake." Corvex looked around his bridge at his terrified crew. They were facing an enemy that had turned the tools of conquest against their creators, that had evolved beyond the limitations of natural biology, that had become something designed specifically for interstellar warfare. "Sir," his tactical officer whispered, "the enhanced humans are launching attack craft. They move like no ships we have ever seen." On the main screen, Im Woo-jin smiled, and the expression was more terrifying than any alien weapon. "Welcome to our system, Admiral. We hope you enjoy your stay, however long it lasts." The Terran ships began their approach, moving through space with coordination that defied understanding. Each vessel was crewed by beings that had evolved beyond humanity, creatures that had learned to hunt among the stars. The rescue fleet had found Earth, but Earth was no longer the world they had come to save. It was the home of humanity's children, and those children had grown into something that would make the galaxy tremble. The real monsters had finally revealed themselves, and they wore human faces. 1 year after the destruction of Fleet Admiral Corvex's rescue fleet, Dr. Yoon Ji-won stood in her laboratory deep beneath New Seoul, staring at her greatest creation and her deepest regret. The 6th generation of enhanced humans floated in stasis chambers, their forms so far removed from baseline humanity that she sometimes wondered if they could still be called human at all. "Doctor," her assistant Lee Chan-woo said softly, "General Im Woo-jin is requesting an update on Project Genesis." Yoon Ji-won turned away from the chambers. Chan-woo had been one of her first test subjects 5 years ago, volunteering for enhancement to better serve in her laboratory. Now his mind could process genetic data faster than the most advanced computers, but his eyes held a coldness that reminded her daily of what they had all become. "Tell the General that Genesis subjects are stable, but we need to discuss the psychological evaluations," she replied. 3 levels above, General Im Woo-jin reviewed casualty reports from humanity's latest campaign against hegemony worlds. The numbers should have been encouraging. 12 alien colonies liberated, 4 major fleet bases destroyed, minimal human losses. But the reports contained details that troubled him. "Sir," Commander Shin Minji approached with a data pad. "We have received complaints from our field commanders about the 6th-generation soldiers." "What kind of complaints?" "They are becoming difficult to control. During the assault on Kepler Station, they eliminated not just the military targets but the entire civilian population of the research facility. When questioned, they stated that all aliens were potential threats and should be removed." Im Woo-jin felt a chill that had nothing to do with the underground facility's temperature. "How many civilians?" 3,000, sir, including children." The silence stretched between them. Im Woo-jin had authorized the creation of perfect warriors, beings capable of fighting the hegemony on equal terms. But he had not considered what would happen when those warriors could no longer distinguish between enemies and innocents. Captain Kim Tae-ho returned from his latest deep space mission with news that should have been triumphant. His fleet had successfully intercepted and destroyed a hegemony supply convoy near the Centauri system. But his report contained troubling details. "Sir," he said to Admiral Bae Sun-mi in her command chamber, "my crew performed admirably, but their behavior during the engagement was concerning, elaborate. When we boarded the enemy vessels, the enhanced soldiers did not just eliminate the crews, they consumed them. Literally consumed genetic material from the bodies to further their own adaptations. And sir, they seemed to enjoy it." Admiral Bae studied Tae-ho's face. He had been enhanced himself, his body modified for void combat and command operations. But unlike the newer generations, he retained something that looked like human emotion when he spoke of disturbing events. "Were there any civilian casualties?" "Sir, the convoy was carrying refugee families fleeing from human-controlled systems. My soldiers classified them as enemy combatants and eliminated them all. When I questioned this decision, they informed me that any alien presence was a threat to human expansion." That evening, Dr. Yoon Ji-won called a meeting with the senior leadership in the deepest part of the underground complex. General Im Woo-jin, Admiral Bae Sun-mi, Captain Kim Tae-ho, and Colonel Choi Min-soo gathered around a holographic display showing the current state of the war. "We need to talk about what we have created," Yoon Ji-won began without preamble. "The enhancement program has succeeded beyond our wildest expectations. Our soldiers are faster, stronger, smarter, and more adaptable than any enemy we have faced." "That sounds like success to me," Colonel Choi said. "We are winning the war, are we?" Yoon Ji-won asked. "Or are we becoming the very thing we fought against?" She activated the display showing footage from recent battles. Enhanced humans moved through alien ships like predators, their forms barely recognizable as having once been human. But more disturbing was their behavior. They killed without hesitation, consumed their enemies for genetic material, and showed no distinction between military targets and civilians. "Look at this footage from the Kepler Station assault," she continued. "Watch how our soldiers interact with alien children they find. Hiding in the civilian quarters, the room fell, silent as they watched enhanced humans systematically execute alien younglings with the same cold efficiency. They showed enemy soldiers. There was no emotion, no hesitation, no recognition that these were non-combatants. They have lost something essential," Yoon Ji-won said quietly. "In making them perfect warriors, we have removed their capacity for mercy, for discrimination, for humanity itself." General Im Woo-jin leaned back in his chair, his own enhanced mind processing the implications. "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" "I am suggesting that we may have won the war against the hegemony, but we are losing the war for our own souls. The 6th-generation soldiers no longer fight to protect humanity. They fight because killing is what they were designed to do." Admiral Bae pulled up tactical reports on her personal display. The numbers support Dr. Yoon's concerns. In our last 6 major engagements, enhanced soldiers eliminated 100% of alien personnel, including civilians, refugees, and non-combatants. 0 prisoners were taken. 0 mercy was shown. Captain Kim Tae-ho spoke up. "I have noticed changes in my own crew. The longer they remain enhanced, the less they seem to remember why we started fighting. They speak of aliens as vermin to be exterminated, not as enemies to be defeated." "And there is something else," Dr. Yoon continued. "The genetic absorption ability I gave the 6th generation has had an unintended consequence. They are beginning to view unenhanced humans the same way they view aliens, as inferior beings to be either enhanced or eliminated. The room grew cold as the implications sank in. Colonel Choi was the first to speak. Are you saying our own soldiers might turn against baseline humans? I am saying it has already begun. We have received reports from outlying settlements of enhanced soldiers, forcibly recruiting civilians for enhancement procedures. Those who refuse are classified as genetic dead ends and eliminated. General Im Woo-jin stood and walked to the chamber's viewing port, looking out over the vast underground complex where thousands of enhanced humans worked with mechanical precision. How did we get here, Doctor? How did we become the monsters? We did what we thought was necessary for survival, Yoon Ji-won replied. But in our determination to become strong enough to fight the hegemony, we forgot to preserve what made us worth saving in the first place. The meeting continued for hours as they grappled with an impossible problem. They had created the perfect weapons to fight their enemies, but those weapons were now beyond their control. The enhanced soldiers followed orders, but they interpreted those orders through minds that no longer valued the things baseline humans considered important. What do you recommend? Admiral Bay asked finally. Dr. Yoon Ji-won activated another display, this one showing genetic modification protocols she had been developing in secret. I have been working on a reversal process, a way to restore human emotion and empathy to the enhanced soldiers without sacrificing their physical capabilities. Will it work? I do not know. The psychological modifications run deep, and many of the enhanced may resist any attempt to change them. They see their current state as evolution, not corruption. General Im Woo-jin returned to his seat, his enhanced mind already calculating the risks and possibilities. Begin the trials, Doctor. Start with volunteers from the earlier generations, those who still show signs of human emotional response. And if they refuse, the question hung in the air like a death sentence. They all knew what it meant. If the enhanced humans refused to accept limitations on their evolution, if they chose to continue down the path of perfect predation, then humanity would face a choice between becoming monsters or being destroyed by the monsters they had created. Then we will have learned the true cost of survival, Im Woo-jin said quietly, and we will have to decide if what we have become is still worth preserving.